What if I told you that New York City's first ever soccer-specific stadium is secretly costing taxpayers over $500 million, despite being marketed as 100% privately funded? While NYCFC celebrates their shiny new $780 million home, the land it sits on was handed over for free, and the club won't pay a single dollar in property taxes for 49 years, a sweetheart deal built for billionaires. But here's the twist. This isn't just a financial story, it's also a spectacle. The stadium is set to become the first fully electric venue in Major League Soccer, wrapped in a glowing 7-story LED gateway that can stream everything from live match footage to digital art. After a decade of delays, failed deals, and political favors, New York City FC is finally getting a stadium of their own. But behind the dazzling visuals and record-breaking hype lies a story of shady financing, displaced communities, and public money quietly handed to the ultra-rich. So how did America's most ambitious soccer stadium turn into one of its biggest controversies? Let's break it down. To understand why this stadium deal is so controversial, we need to go back to 2013 when New York City FC was founded as Major League Soccer's bold attempt to conquer America's biggest media market. Unlike their crosstown rivals, the New York Red Bulls, who play in New Jersey, NYCFC promised to be the city's true team, playing in the 5 boroughs. But there was one massive problem: they had no stadium. For the past decade, NYCFC has been soccer's ultimate nomads. Their primary home, Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, a baseball park where soccer feels like an afterthought. Due to scheduling conflicts with the Yankees, they've been forced to play games at the Citi Field in Queens, Red Bull Arena in New Jersey, and even college stadiums in Connecticut. Picture this: a professional soccer team worth $840 million, playing on a baseball diamond with artificial turf that's the wrong size and shape. The field at Yankee Stadium is just 110 yards long and 70 yards wide, significantly smaller than FIFA's recommended dimensions. It's been an embarrassment for both the club and MLS. The stadium search became a decade-long saga of failed promises. First, they wanted to build in Flushing Meadows Park, but local residents fought back. Then, they considered a site next to Yankee Stadium, but Mayor Bill de Blasio killed the deal over public financing concerns. There were proposals for Belmont Park, even a floating stadium on the Willis Avenue Bridge designed by Raphael Vignolet. Each failure deepened the frustration. NYCFC's passionate supporters, who call themselves the Third Rail, have endured years of uncertainty, never knowing where their team would play from season to season. Season ticket holders couldn't even guarantee they'd attend games at the same venue. The breakthrough came in November 2022 when Mayor Eric Adams announced the Willets Point Plan. The location, a 23-acre site in Queens known as the Iron Triangle, a gritty industrial wasteland of auto body shops, scrap yards, and contaminated soil. For decades, this corner of Queens has been a symbol of urban decay, unpaved roads, flooding, and environmental contamination. Previous mayors had tried and failed to redevelop the area. Adams saw NYCFC's stadium as the catalyst to finally transform this forgotten neighborhood. But as we'll see, the promise of private funding would prove to be more complicated than anyone admitted. When HOK, the architectural firm behind Mercedes-Benz Stadium and Manchester City's Etihad Stadium, unveiled their design for Etihad Park, they weren't just creating a soccer stadium, they were designing what they called a love letter to Queens. The 25,000-seat venue will be unlike anything New York has ever seen. The most striking feature, a 7-story entrance called the Cube, a massive rectangular portal wrapped in over 11,000 square feet of LED panels. This isn't just eye candy, it's a dynamic canvas that will display everything from match highlights to art installations, celebrating Queens' incredible cultural diversity. The exterior design pays homage to Willets Point's industrial heritage with gritty brick and black structural steel, while incorporating cutting-edge sustainable technology. And here's where NYCFC is making history. Etihad Park will be Major League Soccer's first fully electric stadium. We're talking solar panels covering the entire roof, a sophisticated rainwater harvesting system beneath the playing surface for irrigation, and locally sourced construction materials to reduce transportation emissions. This isn't just greenwashing, it's a genuine commitment to sustainability that puts other sports venues to shame. Inside, The stadium is designed with what architects call an intimate bowl configuration. Every seat will be closer to the action than at Yankee Stadium, with the furthest seat just 150 feet from the touchline. For comparison, some seats at MetLife Stadium are over 300 feet from the field. The supporter experience is getting special treatment. The third rail and other fan groups will have their own dedicated entrance, plus over 3,400 safe standing positions, something that's still rare in American soccer. But the crown jewel for supporters is the supporters' porch, a 9,000 square foot rooftop bar that can accommodate 1,200 fans before and after matches. For premium experiences, there's the Tunnel Club, located near the players' dressing rooms, over 40 private suites, and 3 exclusive clubs. The Five Boroughs Food Hall will feature 40,000 square feet of rotating local vendors from across NYC's 5 boroughs. Perhaps most importantly, there's City Square, a 35,000 square foot multi-use plaza that will serve as community programming space on non-game days. This is where NYCFC's City in the Community Foundation will have their permanent headquarters, continuing their youth development and social justice initiatives. The stadium's capacity of 25,000 is intentionally smaller than other MLS venues, like Atlanta's 42,500-seat Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But HOK's research from their St. Louis City Park shows that smaller, more intimate venues actually create better atmospheres and stronger economic impact per seat. That premium, experience-driven approach extends beyond the architecture. NYCFC also secured a long-term naming rights deal with Etihad Airways, an undisclosed 20-year agreement that deepens their long-standing ties with the UAE-based airline. Etihad has been the club's jersey sponsor since day one and also holds naming rights to Manchester City's stadium. For NYCFC supporters, many prefer calling it the Valley of Ashes as a nod to the area's literary history. Construction officially began with a groundbreaking ceremony on December 4, 2024, attended by Mayor Adams, MLS Commissioner Don Garber, and club executives. Turner Construction Company is leading the build with a target completion date of early 2027, just in time for the MLS season. But behind the ceremonial shovels and photo ops lies a web of controversy that exposes how stadium deals really work in America. The biggest bombshell came from the Independent Budget Office's report revealing the true cost to taxpayers. While NYCFC is indeed paying the $780 million construction cost, the city is essentially giving away prime real estate for free. Instead of selling the land and collecting property taxes, NYC is leasing it to the club for 49 years with zero property tax obligations. The IBO calculated that the city will lose $516 million in present value, money that could have funded schools, affordable housing, or infrastructure improvements. To put this in perspective, that's enough to build approximately 1,000 units of affordable housing at NYC's current costs. Critics call it a public giveaway to billionaire Sheikh Mansour and the Yankees, while the IBO dismissed the supposed economic benefits, citing widespread agreement that stadium subsidies rarely pay off. NYCEDC President Andrew Kimball fired back, calling the report flawed and insisting the project will revitalize a long-neglected part of Queens. There's also the parking controversy with Mets owner Steve Cohen. Cohen initially threatened to block NYCFC's access to Citi Field parking unless the city and state approved his plan for a casino on the parking lots. That dispute was eventually resolved with a formal agreement giving NYCFC access to 4,000 parking spaces on game days. The environmental cleanup adds another layer of complexity. Willets Point has been contaminated for decades by automotive waste, and the full extent of remediation costs remains unclear. While these costs aren't part of the stadium's official budget, taxpayers will likely bear much of the burden, a hidden cost that's rarely mentioned in public statements. At the same time, the ownership structure quietly evolved during development. Originally, City Football Group owned 80%, and the Yankees held the remaining 20%. But in September 2024, the Yankees reduced their stake to 10%, with new investor Marcelo Clore acquiring the other 10% through a complex holding company arrangement. Still, not everyone sees this as progress. The Iron Triangle, once home to immigrant-owned auto shops, is being cleared, and while the city promises relocation support, many fear being priced out of the new Willets Point. Meanwhile, the 30-month construction timeline remains tight, with regulatory hurdles and unpredictable weather putting pressure on the 2027 target. The Etihad Park deal isn't just about building a soccer stadium, it's about the fine print, the politics, and the quiet ways money moves in modern America. On the surface, this looks like a privately financed project. NYCFC is covering the $780 million construction bill through JP Morgan financing. But look closer, and you'll see the public is still footing a big part of the cost, just not in a way that shows up on headlines or spreadsheets. When cities give away public land for free, waive taxes for decades, and promise infrastructure upgrades on the taxpayers' dime, that's not private development, it's public investment repackaged. And the question becomes, who actually benefits? The club gets a stunning new home. The owners, including one of the richest individuals on earth, get a subsidized asset in a prime real estate market. And the city gets to point at renderings and economic forecasts, claiming it's all for the greater good. But what's left out of those renderings are the small immigrant-owned shops that once operated in Willets Point, or the public services that $516 million in lost revenue could have funded, or the long-term risks if the promised economic impact never materializes. Despite the controversy, Etihad Park will probably be amazing. The design is innovative, the sustainability features impressive, and it's genuinely better for Queens than a contaminated wasteland. The question is whether billionaire subsidies should be disguised as private investment. When the stadium opens in 2027, it will be the most expensive soccer venue in American history, perfectly exemplifying how stadium economics really work in modern America. What do you think? Smart development or corporate welfare? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into MLS's most controversial stadium, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned, because there's always more drama behind the stands than on the pitch.